Welcome to the pre-dawn gloriousness that is the African bush. We're sitting really still on top of a crest, listening for the call of a male leopard that's been going for the last little while. Hopefully we find him soon. This is Safari Live. Ready.
Standing by.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You are live, you are live.
Murphy's Law, since we've been sitting quietly on the crest, no peep out of that big male leopard who's been calling constantly for about the last hour. And of course, this is a gorgeous Sunday morning here in the African bush. My name is Brent Leo Smith, and I have Brian Joubert and the Thumb, who's wearing his Sunday best today as we are in search of the incredible wildlife of Southern Africa. So Jamie and Zander are somewhere to the sort of northwest of us. We're trying to pincer movement this male leopard, and thanks to Lucy and Chris Rogue for their updates about the lions and leopards last night. We're going to go look for the lions a little later. We're going to try focus on this leopard while he's calling and while he's on the move. Now, it's probably Tingana. It sounds like a big dominant male. And we haven't seen any tracks yet, but we're hoping that his boisterous morning calling is going to give away his position. And of course, we are on a live African safari, and it's warmish for us today. It's about 12 degrees Celsius, and I cannot for the life of me remember the Fahrenheit. Brian, do you remember the Fahrenheit?
I don't.
54, there we go. Thank you, Final Control. And Final Control is Kirsten and Rebecca. But no sound, so we're going to go find another listening spot. Now this is my favorite time of the day. It's when the big cats are calling, the big cats are on the move. And Jamie and I are looking for the same big cat at the moment. So let's go see how her endeavors in the pre-dawn light are going.
Good morning and welcome on this beautiful morning in the winter's African bush to our sunrise safari. My name is Jamie and I have Zander on the back of the vehicle with me, along with a very special guest whose name is Jerry. Can everybody say good morning to Jerry? There's Jerry sitting on the back, and Jerry's going to help us as a third set of eyes to try and find this leopard that is calling. And I've got a horrible feeling we've actually got a race on our hands here, because this male, and I'm pretty sure it is a male leopard, is walking very, very rapidly to the west. Now, it doesn't look as though he's stayed south towards Zoe's. It looks as though he's gone a little bit further north, which unfortunately means if he continues his mission to the west, he's going to cross into Simbambili, which is why we're racing. We've raced past a herd of elephants. We'll come back to them. Just want to make sure that he isn't somewhere around here. And I think, I was driving at the time, but I think I heard alarm calls somewhere here. But whichever male leopard it is that we're tracking, he's managed to somehow fly over all of the roads, because I haven't picked up on a single leopard track. Or our elephant friends that we just found over there have walked over his tracks. A wonderful and exciting way to start off our morning. Oh my goodness, there's Brent. Standing by. Brent, I'm already on Impala Road. I think I heard kudu alarming around Powerlines Junction. Thanks, you too. I didn't find any Nkonzo going up main access, but the whole Flambeau Law have walked along there and they're still there. Brent and I are just having a chat about how we're going to plan the search. We had a minor, not a disagreement, it was a bit of a disagreement about which way the leopard was calling, which direction the leopard was calling from. So there's just a slight competitive edge to now finding this particular leopard. I'm trying to go with gut instinct and which paths Tingana walks. I'm just really hoping he's not on a mission straight back towards Simbabili. Come on, boy. Where are you hiding? And it's right at that grey time of dawn where the spotlight doesn't actually help you terribly much because it just lights up the bushes right in front of you and nothing else anywhere behind. But at the same time, your eyes haven't quite adjusted to the light, so everything looks a bit grey and flat. Except the elephants, they just look grey and three-dimensional. And we will go back to those elephants in a moment. I just want to try and find these kudu. I think I heard kudu, but I was driving at the time, so a kudu makes a deep, bassy alarm call, a deep bark. It goes something along the lines of bah! And they do it repeatedly whenever a leopard walks past them. And of course the other option is that he might have been moving. He's definitely marking his territory because he's doing that rasping, sawing sound that leopards do. But he might have spotted something that he wants to hunt, at which point he becomes even more difficult to find. And then, of course, we've got the added bonus of the Nkuhumas, hopefully, being somewhere on our property. They were seen on the Djuma Dam camera early this morning, around 1 o'clock, which is also a very positive sign because it means we can go and search for them. And I was so excited to hear that yesterday afternoon on the sunset safari, James finally had the brand new set of Nkuhuma cubs, the 3 of them that we've actually been watching since they were only a couple of days old, when they were still at the Buffelshoek Dam den. But then we couldn't find, well, we did know where they were, but we couldn't get to them, and we decided that we'd just leave them for the time being and wait for them to emerge, and now they have. So they're little lion cubs. And now we've got 8 Nkuhumas bounding about somewhere. Now, speaking of little lion cubs and of course little leopard cubs, Zuki's just pointed out, and watching in Tennessee, and by the way, good morning to you, that lion cubs are very wobbly when they first emerge. Would we give them the same period of time before viewing them that we would leopard cubs? With the mother at the den, then we are happy to view them slightly earlier than leopard cubs, and the reason that we do that is because no hyena in its right mind is going to mess with a lioness and her cubs. So what we were doing is we were checking every day to see if they were still in the same den spot, and if Mom wasn't there, then we immediately left and pulled out and left the little cubs to go about their business. If Mom was there, then we did view them at a slightly younger age than we would leopard cubs. There are far more scary threats for a leopard than there are for a lion cub, just because the mothers are so much bigger and stronger. And we've also kept track, we're very careful about what's around us when we do that. Then it becomes a little bit, basically those cubs that you are seeing now, they are very wobbly, are the same age as when we started viewing Karula's cubs. They're 2 months old, and they've got the protection again, they've got the protection of Mom. However, they seem to develop slightly slower than leopard cubs. They don't climb trees as quickly, so that's why they look wobbly, but they're roughly the same age. So it is very much circumstantial, and it depends upon what's going on. And then we treat them exactly the same way. So initially, if they're showing signs of being if they're very tiny, if they're showing signs of being nervous, only one vehicle is allowed to go and look at them. If they're looking slightly more comfortable, confident, if they're around a static kill, for example, then we have 2 vehicles in the sighting. And we plan it like that, and the person who finds them decides on the situation and the circumstances behind it and how many vehicles are allowed to come into the sighting. So we do it very, very carefully. We treat them with the same amount of respect, but we do handle them differently. Right, where is this leopard gone? I think I'm going to go and check the western edge of Djuma, and while we do that, let's go over to Brent and find out how his search is going.
We've got impala alarm calling, staring into the bush here. Right this way. There he is. There's the male leopard. Hello, Mr. Leopard. Looks like Tingana. Hello, big boy. Oh, what a wonderful way to start the sunrise safari with our dominant, big, spotted cat. There we go. So, I think he must have passed just behind Jamie, because Jamie's come through here and headed up towards Impala Road. Now, she had kudu alarm calling there, so it could be shadow in that area, so we could have multiple leopards close by on this sunrise safari. Standing by. Balanites tree. Jamie just called me over the radio giggling. Where is he, for a matter of interest? Just letting her know, at the large Balanites tree. Hello, big boy. Come on, give us a call. Been calling so much. Looks like he has had a feed. He's not grotesquely full like we see these big cats sometimes, but he's definitely eaten. And there we go. He's going to go scent mark on the tree that has embarrassed me slightly in the not too distant past. Isn't this incredible? On a live African safari, following a big male leopard on his morning territorial patrol. Now he's going to take us on an adventure if he keeps on that route. This is one of the largest areas on Djuma where there is not a track, not a road, apart from a little track to the Gari repeater that is sending you these pictures at the moment. Now this is a famous block for falling into aardvark holes. Now, very, very observant of you, Lady Lone Wolf, who's noticed he does have a lip. He's been sporting this limp for quite a while, and like with male lions, it's not uncommon for the big male leopards to have a limp, and it could have been from fighting, it could have been from mating, it could have also been from hunting. So even though I would say his limp has improved massively since the last time I had a good view of him, so we're definitely going to stick with him. He is heading to the southwest, so there's a strong possibility he's going to go visit Arathusa. But I think it's probably going to take him half an hour or so to get that side. And Brian and I were just saying we really felt like a good leopard sighting this morning. So the big cat gods are on our side. Or it could just be the fact that we are the killer bees. Now William's wondering, what does it mean when a leopard's tail is curled up like that? Normally just walking. If they raise their tail, it's a sign of, okay, you got me, you spotted me. So when those impala were snorting and could see him, his tail would have been quite a lot more vertical than it is. They will also sort of do it to show birds, if birds start alarm calling. Just trying to find a route through this block to get into a good spot to see him. Oh, we've caught a big tree. Let's reverse a bit. Okay, I'm just going to try and get up ahead of him, then I'm going to stop. There we go. He might walk right at us now. Now, if there's anyone new and you're wondering, oh my goodness, how can we get so close to one of Africa's dominant predators? Now, it's by giving him his space. You see, I've parked a bit far from him, so if he wants to walk close to us, then I let him do that. And he's grown up as a cub with vehicles, so he is used to it. Just 1 second, I've got to be on the game drive. Morning, tax. I've got Tingana. I'm heading southwest from the Balanites tree. Negative, I've got the animal. If you come straight to the Balanites tree, his fumba straight southwest from there in the block to the south of the Gari repeater. Is still a bit further south. I would actually come onto Zoe's near the old Nisikaya and then listen for my audio. Sorry about that, I'm just letting Taxon, who's the ranger from Djuma, know where we are. We all help each other out here in terms of finding the big cats. Marianne, wonderful to have you with us. Marianne, what's the point of a big male having such a thick neck? Well, Marianne, it's because he has to fight with other male leopards. So like a male lion's got the big mane, a male leopard's got a big thick neck to protect his vital areas like his throat from another male being able to grip onto it and do him some damage. So when leopards fight, it's generally front on, so lots of patting at the face and the neck, and if they try, actually grab around the neck. And that's why they have that thick neck, as an extra layer of protection. So I'm going to let you enjoy him. Well, I just called taxi. Tax, come quickly a little bit. He's walking quite fast. Come quite quickly. He is walking quite fast. Affirm. We're about 200 meters from Zoe's now, and he's still heading west. I think maybe Triple M will be better. I'd say he's probably 600 meters from Triple M now. Okay, so we got to go through quite a thick area. So we're going to go across to Jamie, who's got another member of Africa's Big Five on this glorious sunrise safari.
a beautiful way to start off our morning safari, with a leopard with Brent and some elephants with myself. And it's interesting to see them feeding off guarri bushes. The reason that the guarri bushes always look so green and luscious, whilst everything else looks a little bit brown and dead, is the fact that nothing really eats them, because they're so low in any kind of nutrient content and very, very high in tannins. And unfortunately, it seems as though the elephants are desperate enough now, in this drought and in the dry season, to actually want to try and feed and get whatever nutrients they can from those as well. Okay, let's try and reposition now. Get a little bit closer. These elephants are moving actually quite a lot faster than I thought they were. It's one of the reasons why we're very careful with our elephants at the moment. They're not necessarily in the best of moods because they're tired. They have to walk constantly to try and find the nutrients that they need to sustain their enormous size and to try and get to water. Luckily it's not too hot just yet. I'm going to stop here just so I don't scare the little one. Welcome, Lauren, to our sunrise safari. It's lovely to have you on board. And Lauren's asked a question that we often get asked, especially if we ever see an injured animal, which is, do we ever help the elephants or the big cats if they get injured or sick in some way? Oh, mommy, wait. Wait. Wait for me. Lauren, it depends. It depends on what's caused the injury and the illness. If it is... Oh, little head shake. If it is an injury that's been induced by humans, let's say, and it's very, very unlikely here where we are in the Sabi Sand, because the Sabi Sand is well monitored and maintained, and patrolled as well along the fence lines. But if, for example, we found an elephant with, heaven forbid, a bullet hole in it, or a snare around its trunk, then absolutely we would intervene, because that is a human-induced injury. If it is a big cat or an elephant that has been injured in some kind of natural way, then unfortunately no, we don't. And it stems back to many, many years of experience in terms of conservation and the size of this area. So as much as we want to, letting nature take its course is one of the best ways to actually manage an enormous area like this, because in turn, nature actually manages itself. Too many elephants is a bad thing, because they shape the landscape and there's not enough food to sustain them. Too many cats is equally a bad thing. If you've got too many lions, your wild dog population suffers, your leopards, your cheetah, all of the other predators, as well as your general game species. So if it is some kind of natural injury, then we leave it for nature to take its course. It depends, though, upon where you are. In the greater Kruger National Park area, because this place is so enormous, then that is the reason that we let it manage itself. If it's a much smaller area, then there might be more justification for interfering in some way. I'm going to try and keep up with these Ellies before they cross into Simbambili, although I think they're going to disappear on us. Let's go across to Brent and Tingana before he does something similar.
Yeah, we're still staying with him. He's going through these monkey orange thickets at the moment, heading straight to the west or southwest. Oh, there you go, scent marking. Now, if you're wondering about this big male leopard and what he's up to, where he's going, send me a question, questions@WildEarthTV, or use the hashtag SafariLive on Twitter. Oh, he's going into a particularly thick area now, but we will try to stay with him. Now, he's marching and he's spraying urine on bushes as he goes. Now, it's a wonderful smell, leopard urine, and I think a lot of you are going to go, oh, gross, how can you say that? Well, it smells like buttered popcorn, and I'm just trying to figure out where he's going to pop out now. There he is. And see, he stops, he listens. There's quite a stiff breeze for early morning, which is a nice thing for him if he's hunting. keep coming southwest. Yeah, if you switch off, you'll hear my audio. I don't know how far I am from Triple M at the moment. Okay. So he's taken us through one aardvark, and another aardvark central. There are lots of holes. Am I going to be able to nip through them without falling in? Is the next question. Now he's certainly on a mission, and male leopards are very good at missioning. Now, a male leopard can easily walk 10 or 12 kilometers on his nightly patrols. Well, a huge Safari Live welcome to William, a new viewer who would like to know how dangerous this situation is. Not at all, William. As long as we drive respectfully and carefully around him and don't put him in any pressure or corner him, he will continue moving as if we weren't even here. Tax, I'm straight south from you now. I'm straight south. I don't know if you can see a big shedulu. I'm just on the other side of that shedulu. He's now heading a little bit more south. Okay, we're going to try to keep up with him. And so he's taking us on an adventure through the area that's got the least roads in the whole of Djuma. Morning, Shelley. Shelley's wondering, oh, that's a car killer. We're not going to get that one. Is Tingana, Shelley's wondering, is Tingana hunting a leopardess to steal her kill? Well, if he happens to come across a leopardess who's got a kill, he will steal it. But at the moment, I would say he's on territorial patrol. There you go. He's keeping moving, keeping us on our toes. Okay, so I'm going to a patch of quite serious bush and holes, so I need to concentrate. So while I concentrate, let's go back and see how Jamie's doing.
So while Brent gets through some thick vegetation and hopefully manages to stay with Tingana, we're heading to the northern side of Djuma to go and see if we can't follow up on those nkuhumas and their lovely little cubs. Try and figure out exactly where they've gone. I've got fresh tracks of a male lion, and I'm almost certain that he is the one responsible for those alarm calls that I said I heard that put me in the wrong direction in terms of trying to find Tingana. I think this male lion walked straight past us, and we must have just narrowly missed him by a bit of a margin. It looks like he's going towards Simbombili, so for now we're going to go look for the nkuhumas, and if we don't have any luck there, then we'll head back in this direction and see if we can't follow up. I'm reverse tracking him for now, just in case he was with the nkuhumas last night, and that he might lead us, his tracks might lead us backwards to wherever they are. And speaking of our little lion cubs, Barbara in Tampa, the only update I can give you is that that little lion cub is going to be absolutely fine. So Barbara was very concerned about our limpy lion cub that had I think it was a hip injury more than a leg injury. Its whole hips were slightly off center, and it was limping very, very badly at one point. It is now seems to be so much better, playing, full of energy, not fully healed, still struggling to keep up a little bit. But the nice thing, of course, about being a lion cub is that the whole pride will stop and wait for it. Mom will wait, little siblings will wait, and they'll wait for it to catch up every time they move. And it seems the rate that it's healing, I think it's going, I mean, we said at the time it was probably going to be absolutely fine. And that seems to be the case. So positive news in terms of our little lion cub with its limp. And that is one of the Nkuhuma cubs, not one of the Styx cubs. The Styx cubs have their own different kettle of problems, which is the skin infection that they have. Whether it is mange or whether it is some kind of fungal infection, there's a bit of debate about that. But they will grow out of that at some point, hopefully. Okay. The elephants, by the way, raced onto Simbambili. In the time it would have taken me to get around and onto our boundary, they were already on the other side of the road and moving off. So they were clearly on a mission. And I think they were running now in hindsight because a male lion walked right past them. That, I think, is what caused their distress. Let's just check up on Sydney's Dam, since it is one of the big permanent water sources around here. And our lions do enjoy it. And of course there's always the mystery wild dogs, the lower Sabi pack, that also spend a bit of time here. Are there any lions? Doesn't look like it. Something that looks like a waterbuck standing on the dam wall itself. There's some waterbuck there. Some impala as well. Whoa! Waterbuck racing up towards the impala. Oh no, it's another waterbuck. The red light tricked me. Oh, the light is so beautiful. Let's continue on our lion search and leave Sydney's Dam, but we don't want to spend too long away from Mr. Tingana. Let's go back to him.
So we're coming quite close to the boundary with Arathusa at the moment, and aren't we lucky? We're going to follow him across that boundary, and I'll need to figure out our next move. Okay, I'm just concentrating, trying to find a spot through here. He is giving us a good workout this morning. You can see my arms as we twist around the different obstacles. Hi Tasha. Oh. Now Tasha's wondering, how long does it take a leopard to patrol their territory? Well, it completely depends on the leopard. So Tingana has actually got one of the biggest territories in the whole Sabi Sands, probably close on 3,000 or 4,000 hectares. He can probably patrol it in 2 or 3 days if he's walking like he is at the moment. Normally he'll take about a week. Now other leopards that live further south in the Sabi Sands along the Sand River have much smaller territories, around 1,000 hectares, because the prey and female density is higher along the rivers. Oh, look at this, it's going to be beautiful, Brian. There we go, we've got the rising sun, we've got our dominant male leopard. Isn't this just exquisite? Hope you guys are getting some fantastic screenshots. Oh, there we go, he's going to lie down. So if you hear that clickety click, that's just me getting a few pictures. There we go, time for some preening. Now, Michael's wondering why male leopards don't form coalitions like male lions. Now, Michael, it's very simple. Leopards are designed to be solitary animals, and for them, there's far more benefit in being alone and having multiple females just to themselves and defending a territory than being in a coalition. They'd have to share food. They don't need an area as big as lions, so they don't need as much food as a lion. So there's no real evolutionary benefit for leopards to become social. Also, their hunting strategy is as an ambush predator. Lions are also ambush predators, but less so than leopards, because lions hunt big things like buffalo and hippopotamus, where if you've been spotted, it's not too much the worst thing. It's more of a war of attrition. Oh, look at that, up and mobile again. So he's going to walk right into the light. Get ready with the screenshots. I can't resist but snap a few pictures. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Look at this, he's going to pass about 4 feet from the front of our car. Okay, so he's coming up to our western boundary. I'm just going to let Taxi go in front of us because we can follow across to Arathusa and Tax can't. Okay. Now he has taken us through some incredibly difficult areas, and he's going to do the same on Arathusa if he crosses straight to the west, which it looks like he's going to. Just waiting to see what he does. Stations Tingana has now crossed into Arathusa. He is mobile south, parallel to Gowrie Main, about 100 meters to the west of Zebra Drive. Best access still Gowrie Main or Zebra Drive. One station here. There we go. He's going to go back into quite a thick area that we're going to have to zig and zag through. So we're going to stick with him. Maybe he's going to lead us to some ladies. So while we watch him disappear, let's go back to Jamie.
Speaking of Tingana and finding ladies, we found some very, very interesting tracks in the road, something I did not expect to see. However, it is very interesting. What's even more interesting is the fact that Tingana's been around and probably listening to this. Look at this. Let me jump out to show you what you're looking at here. I've been following them since Sydney's dam, and I say them, it's two leopards. It's a male and a female. The male, let me just not mess this up. So the male's footprints are here. Huge feet moving along here. The female's tracks come in from the opposite direction. And all of this here, the sweeps in the ground, the sort of places where the soil's been disturbed, that tells me something very interesting. And that is that the female came up to the male, she seduced him somewhere around here, and they mated right here on this road. And these tracks are fresh. Nobody's driven over them yet, which is a very, very good sign. The question is, where have they gone from here? Because it looks as though the female moved away from him towards Buffelshoek. Her last track is stepped on. Bravo, Jamie. Her last track heads in this direction towards Buffelshoek. But the female follows the male whenever a female is in estrus. And what is really nice about mating leopards, if they're still in the area, we should hear them. That brrrr sound. Oh, Mvula, probably. Because if it were Tingana, Tingana would still be with his lady friend. That's most likely Mvula. How did Tingana not hear what was going on, or did he hear what was going on? Perhaps that's why he was so vocal early this morning. And I'm really hoping, because at this time of morning it's nice and cool, I'm really hoping that these leopards give us a clue as to where they are. And I'm talking about the sounds of their mating. It's very aggressive and it's very noisy. We've heard that Mvula's been mating in Buffelshoek, probably with Shaluva. Let's just go a little way ahead, check and make sure that they didn't pop out further, because he did seem to be on a bit of a mission. My gut instinct says that Mvula might have decided to go further north, back into Buffelshoek, away from Tingana's calls. But you've got to be careful of that. Because just because, yep, she came out here. Just because that's what I would do if I were Mvula, doesn't mean that's what he did. And he hasn't, or he has. Oh goodness, it's all very confusing. They've been backwards and forwards along this road. Leopard tracks everywhere. It might also be the new female leopard that Brent had a little while ago on one of our live drives. Sorry, just going to show you those tracks for 1 second. Virginia, good morning to you. You wanted to know if that female leopard is still in the area? No. Well, maybe. She might have come back. But that afternoon, Brent tracked her onto Simbambili. I'm going to be following our leopard tracks. In the meantime, Brent's got one thing better than leopard tracks, fresh leopard tracks, which is the actual leopard. Let's go back to Tingana.
So he's still mobile south, and fortunately for us, he's heading towards a road, so he's just crossed a road, but now he's going to head towards another one, which of course makes our life a little bit easier. Not so much bashing and crashing. And I know how Brian absolutely loves to follow a leopard parallel to us while we're moving. Let's hope he sticks parallel. I've got a feeling he might pop out in front of us. There he is. Has he heard something or seen something? There we go, we're going to spray. And we get to have the lovely wafting buttered popcorn. Well, he's now on Zebra Drive heading south. Now Cheryl's wondering, are leopards better at dealing with the heat than lions, or is it the same? Cheryl, they're a little bit better, and that's purely just because of their size. They're a little bit smaller, so less area to get hot, but that is the main reason why they're better at dealing with the heat. Let's see, Ooh, wait, you're going to go take us into the next big block, big boy. And we're just going to zoop around in front of him again. Oh, I think we're going to get some nice, get ready for some good screenshots. He's just about the wrong bush. Cheryl's wondering, are they used to the guide smell or just used to the safari vehicles? Here we go, get ready. Look at that. Lovely backlighting from the early morning. Now, I think they're just used to the safari vehicles. You can see there, he is 2 feet. He's so close we can't even see him when he walks in front of us. Look at that, you can see that massive neck of a male leopard. And Brendan, who's a new viewer, welcome Brendan, who's in Canberra, the capital of Australia. And Brendan's wondering, oh, hang on, look at his ears moving. I've suddenly drawn a complete blank, what Brendan in Canberra was asking. What does Tingana's name mean? So it means shy. So when he first came into this area, he was a little bit nervous around the vehicles. But as you drive respectfully, they become very used to the vehicles. We track the leopards on foot as well quite often. Okay, there he goes. We're going to stick with him. Now he's heading down towards the southern edge of his territory, where there's another male, a big male called the Anderson male. There he is, in that beautiful golden morning light. Now, Shamsung's wondering, would the black spots help with reflecting heat? No, they wouldn't. If anything, black actually draws in heat. And that's why you'll notice when they're really hot, they lie with their legs open to expose the white. White helps to dispel heat. But the black spots are there for camouflage. He might climb this big termite mound up ahead. And he's going to stop for a quick scent mark. Let's just see. Before I move, I want to see if he's going to go to the left or the right of the termite mound. Looks like left, which means we got to change our route. Okay, well, we try to get round to the other side of him. Let's go see what Jamie's up to.
While Brent moves around for a different view of Tingana, we are still on the tracks of our mating leopards, and I'm trying to puzzle out in my head exactly what would have happened last night. There is a possibility that Tingana met up with a female. That's why I'm trying to work out exactly where these tracks go. That Tingana met up with a female for a while, she wasn't in the estrus, and then he moved off, and that's the tracks that we're following. But the tracks, for me, look a little bit too small. Difficult to tell though, and I don't claim to be able to identify our individual leopards by their track size. But my instinct says that the tracks are a little bit small, plus the fact that Mvula was seen mating on Buffel's Hook. And all of those start to stack up in favor of Mvula mating with a leopard, with a female somewhere here. The question is, Tingana would have heard it, and he wouldn't have been terribly impressed, so what would Mvula have done about that? Because one thing we know from when Mvula had his scrap with Djuma, when he was mating with Shaluva, so now we're throwing names out there, it gets very confusing. Let me try and explain this clearly. Mvula is a male leopard, so is Djuma. There we go, so let's clarify that. Mvula is an older male leopard, and he was mating with a female when a younger male that is very, very skittish came onto the scene and chased Mvula away. Mvula was then seen mating with that female just a few hours after that. Now, in my own head, I'm sure that Mvula would rather actually have avoided her for the time being, so as not to attract trouble. However, the female leopards, when they're in estrus, are very, very, very determined. I don't know if there's any other way to phrase it. Saying no to them is a difficult thing for a male leopard, and there's no way that Mvula could be sneaky about this. So did he run back towards Buffel's Hook, or are they here somewhere? Still have their tracks. So it was Joost who called in the fact that Mvula was mating yesterday in Buffel's Hook. I've also got good news, but we'll come back to this in a moment, and that's the fact that there are hyena tracks everywhere around Galago Shortcut. Could it be that our hyena clan has decided to come back to us? I'll check that a bit later once we've looked for these leopards. I feel like I should have heard them by now, which is what's making me worry that Mvula might have decided to start running away from the sound of Tingana sawing. Speaking of Tingana, he is doing his dominant male leopard thing and looking beautiful and magnificent on a termite mound, so let's go and have a look.
So there we go, there he is, look at that, squirrels just spotted him. No, squirrels alarm calling, tat, 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 leopard, 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 leopard. Isn't that stunning? Big male leopard in the early morning light. Oh, look at those eyes. Yeah, the very, very loud crested barbet calling as well. Sarah in Oregon is wondering, as leopards get older, do they lose some of their senses like hearing, smell and eyesight? Most definitely they do, and that's how often they get caught by lions or hyenas when they're older males, and they don't quite have the senses that they did when they were younger. Oh, very loud crested barbet. Look at that wonderful little shine on his eye from the early morning. So he's walked quite a long distance. I mean, I've been hearing him since about 4 o'clock this morning. Oh, he's tired, kitty. And I'd say he's probably walked 7 or 8 Ks since the first rasping call I heard in the early morning. you want me to fumble forward a bit so you can fit in behind us? So Roy from Arathusa has arrived to enjoy this wonderful leopard sighting with us. Now, Les in New York is wondering whether male leopards just pee sometimes, or do they save all their urine for scent marking. If they're around a carcass, a kill, they will sometimes just pee, but mostly if they're not static on a carcass, they will save their urine for scent marking. And they let it out in short little sprays. Isn't it absolutely stunning? And you can see he's got some ticks on his nose. Now Jared's wondering, do we know where Tingana came from and did he have any litter mates? Jared, we're not sure. He's one of the male leopards who sort of just appeared. So which more likely he means he came from a very thick area with not too many roads called Ottawa, which is to the west of us. That's most likely where he came from, but we can't be sure. There we go, having a good snooze on top of the termite mound. We're going to stay here as long as we can. There are some other people who are wanting to come have a look at him, and we've had a really majestic view of him so far, moving, and now sitting atop a termite mound. So it's quite likely, unless something stumbles upon him, an impala or a nyala during the day, he's probably going to be snoozing around this area for the rest of the day. As I said, it looks like he has eaten. He doesn't have the most full belly, but he's definitely not starving at the moment. And his limp is looking much better than the last time I saw him. Now Lucy in South Bend, Indiana is wondering, do male leopards soar more than female leopards? They do generally. So they're far more aggressive in their defensive territories. Now the main reason for this is because female leopards normally sequester a section of their territory to one of their daughters. So it's more often that a female leopard her territories are surrounded by her daughters. Now, if we look at Karula, for example, she's got Shadow to the west of her, and she's got Tundi to the east of her. So two of those territories she probably doesn't patrol as heavily because they are relatives of hers, whereas he has no relatives in this area, apart from, of course, possibly some of the current offspring of Karula, Tundi, and Shadow. But it's very difficult to say for sure that he's the dad without genetics, because female leopards will mate with multiple males to ensure any male that they might come across is under the impression that they're the father. Justin saying he hopes there's enough land for when Hasana, Karula's current cub, the male cub, starts looking for territory. Well, Justin, what will normally happen in those cases is he will leave his natal or his mother's territory. He'll be chased by his mom and probably Tingana, and he will probably end up having territory outside of an area we have traverse in. Now, the reason for this is to stop inbreeding. Even though big cats can inbreed for up to 6 generations without any adverse effects, if they keep inbreeding, obviously certain negative genetic traits might start coming through. But so Hassan is, after about the age of 3 years old, we're unlikely to see him on Safari Live anymore. Now, I haven't seen Tingana in quite a while. Jamie seems to have had all the Tingana luck over the last month or so. Quite excited that we managed to find him. And I always love tracking animals by their calls. So guessing where he was calling from and guessing where he might appear is always fun. And this morning the killer bees were spot on. Penny Pine's wondering, is he on top of this termite mound for warmth? I would say more from a vantage point, Penny. It's not an active termite mound, so there are no currently open chimneys that are exuding warm air, and it's not that cold this morning compared to what it has been over the last while. I think there's some warthog holes there, and he is a great lover of warthogs and aardvarks, both hole dwellers. And the only aardvark I've seen in the last year here has been up a tree with him eating it. William, who's a new viewer, is wondering how high do leopards normally jump? Like, he can probably jump about vertically, probably 2 meters, 2.5 meters, and parallel, probably 5 meters. It all depends on the situation. If there's a male lion behind him, you probably find he can stretch his vertical jump to about 3. Or hyena, it all just depends on the individual situation. But they are incredible athletes for big cats. They're able to show incredible dexterity and versatility up in the boughs of trees. And now he's got a very irritating little bird that I noticed land next to him. He's going to shout at him, a little rattling cystic here. Beep, 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 beep. Brian spotted the crested barbet that was making an incredible noise earlier, basking in the top of that knobthorn tree. And we can still hear those testiculars. Oh, there's a pair of crested barbets. Now, the testiculars are in the little quarry bush to the right of him. So you can see him there, Brian. Zoom, center, almost dead center frame. A little bit further to the right. Up a little bit. There we go, center. There we go, there's the little rattling testicular. He's unimpressed at having a leopard on its termite mound. So when you are tracking leopards, when you haven't found them, even a little distress call from a tiny little testicular can often lead you into the right spot. So if you've heard impala or kudu alarm calling and you know they're in the area and you suddenly hear testiculars or even fire finches alarming, it's always worth double checking. He's doing his best to ignore them. Now, a lot of you, since it's Sunday morning, can probably imagine you've got those noisy neighbours sort of banging, doing DIY. Now, that's the male leopard's equivalent of the noisy neighbour on a Sunday morning. Who's coming, Roy? No standbys. WildEarthTV, too much talk. Yeah, they're near Buffelshoek boundary. 8. I think only 3, my daughters. Yeah, not like 6. Was it 6? So just chatting with Roy, I've turned my game drive comms off. I'm making sure that we're not holding up a long queue for this leopard because we have spent a long time with him. We're not at the moment. Isn't that just beautiful? And you can see, even though his eyes are tightly shut, his ears are still working, scanning, listening carefully. You can see how tatty his ears are, and those are mostly from biting flies. Good morning, Ruth, who's in South Africa. Ruth would like to know who names the leopards that come into our Traverse area. Well, it all depends. With cubs, all the head rangers get together, we put forward a bunch of names, and then it's voted on which names are chosen. Now, with male leopards, it's normally they just arrive in an area like this. It'll be the property that he's first seen on those ranges. We'll normally name them. Or if it's a male leopard that's known, say from Malo or Lonlosi, and they move into our area, we'll just take the name that they were already called. That's not Elvis. Here we go, heads up. Yeah, my kanga. Okay, well, there are some vehicles wanting to come in here now, so let's go back to Jamie. We're going to stay here for a few more minutes. We might have one last look at this gorgeous male leopard before I think I'm going to head down to the east and try find the Styx Pride.
And in a tragic tale of woe, I have tracked our leopards all the way to Tambuti Dam. And as I stopped to get out and look at their tracks, I heard them mating. Now, unfortunately, I've heard them mating on Buffelshoek, which is a place to the north of our boundary where we cannot go. So I have set other vehicles off in the right direction. Bernie's on his way now. He's just approaching us this way. And I'm going to tell him where I heard them. And then off we go to search for other things. And I'm going to try and hold back the tears. Okay, so for new viewers, there's certain places we can go, there's certain places we can't, there's certain places other vehicles go, there's certain places they can't. And Buffelshoek, unfortunately, to the north of our boundary, is one such spot. So Mvula is there, I think mating with Shaluva, but the younger Shaluva, not the older Shaluva. I'm just going to help Bernie out for 1 second. Good morning. Good, thanks. Hi, everybody. There's that road that runs just west. I think if you go up there, you should hear them. I might have walked a little bit just to see where they popped out. Thanks very much. And then I heard them mating, probably maybe 100 or so meters in. He might be moving away from Tingana because Tingana's been shouting all night.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
He's on Arathusa now.
Thank you very much.
It's a pleasure. Enjoy. Have fun. Cheers, guys. I'm going to go find the lions. Bye. Bernie, of course, can go on to Buffelshoek, and he's a lovely gentleman. And Aubrey wants to know why we never cross over the boundaries and what would happen if we did. Big trouble. No, I'm joking. It's a very sensitive matter because it involves not overutilizing certain parts of the land. That's one of the big reasons why we have such rules about where certain vehicles can go and can't go, because you don't want everybody driving in exactly the same place. Pressure on the animals, pressure on the sighting, pressure on the environment. It also has to do with other concerns. I'll tell you what would happen, Aubrey, if we went onto Buffelshoek, is we would lose signal, because we've got repeaters set up in the places that we can go. So if I went onto Buffelshoek now, perhaps Jerry, Zander and myself would have a lovely sighting of the mating leopards, but we wouldn't be able to show it to you anyway. There's lots of different reasons behind it. Several that are far above my head and above my pay grade, but we can't go into Buffels Hoek, and it would be breaking contracts and rules that we have signed, and we just don't do it. As I said to Bernie now, I might have taken a little stroll, but 10 meters onto Buffels Hoek, not far, and it was purely hyena. It was purely to help Bernie try and track down those leopards, to just figure out exactly where they went. And it happens, but sometimes it works the other way around. Sometimes the animals come to us and the other vehicles can't cross. The various game drive vehicles in the West have been bemoaning the fact that the Nkuhumas have been spending so much time with us because they can't come on to Djuma to come and have a look at them. So they still haven't seen the little cubs that the Nkuhumas have with them. Oh no, they have once on a buffalo kill many, many weeks ago. So sometimes it works in our favor. It all balances out in the end. There's nothing like the feeling of tracking something for a good hour before it goes off, but that's just the way the cookie crumbles. Could just have easily have come onto here, and the reason I think he went that side is because Tingana came onto Djuma and started calling. And I'm glad that at least we got proof that that was what had happened, and that Mvula showed some sense in booking straight out to the north. Now I'm just going to keep my game drive channel on so I can hear when Bernie finds them. He should find them. At least we know we were on the right track, and at least we heard them towards the end. Let's go find some lions, shall we? And Jenny in Cape Town, lovely to have you on board. A fellow South African joining us on our live safaris. Yes, we do see the smaller cats. Well, we've seen serval a couple of times, and in fact I had an amazing sighting of a serval eating something. We never fully clarified exactly what it was chewing on, but I think it was a scrub hare. Sorry, hold on Jenny, 1 second. Standing by.
Just to clarify, do you think those, we're west of this road that leads north past Tambuti Dam?
Affirmative, I think so. I marked where his tracks went off the road, and then I heard audio. It sounded to the northwest of Tambuti Dam. I don't know those roads very well at all.
Thank you.
Good luck. Bernie, you didn't drive Gary Cutline, did you?
No, I didn't go down this one.
Copy that, thank you. Sorry Jenny, just helping Bernie out a little bit more. Oh goodness me, poor Jenny has to wait for... I'll just tell Brent to hold on. Stand by one. So poor Jenny's trying to find out about small cats. We've had lots of serval sightings, really, really nice. We probably get one roughly every 2 months or so. Then we also we've seen an African wildcat. I've seen one once. They're a little bit rarer to see. Caracal is still on our list. Now I've heard tell that there are lots of caracal, or at least one relaxed caracal, on the Simbambili fence line, which means that we could see one. Perhaps on our live safaris, but we haven't seen one yet, and I'm really excited. That's the one I want to tick off the list next. Oh goodness. Poor Brent. He was trying to talk to me, but now he can't. He's lost his chance.
Negative, there's 3 wandering that open Arathusa. I think I'm trying to get it. Stand by this now.
Okay, I'm going to let Brent tell you what's on Arathusa actually. Brent standing by. There's their tracks, there's the lion's tracks, this is good. Please don't go off our property as well. Brent. Ah. Oh well. Moving on. Let's go and find these lions. So the lioness has been keeping her cubs in a drainage system, so basically in a river system, just to the east of this road. We've known that they've... there we go. Standing by. Brent again, sorry.
I just want to know if you copy about the Birmingham on Arathusa.
I did copy that, thank you. I'm going to be following up on Nkuhuma's.
Copy, there's standby number 9 there, so I'm going to come back to Wales.
Copy. Remember what we were talking about the fact that they were bemoaning the fact that the Nkuhumas and therefore the Birmingham boys are spending so much time on our side. Well, the Birmingham boys, 3 of them, including the one that we had tracks for, by the way, at the start of the Sunrise Safari, they're on Arathusa. And what Brent was laughing about there, which you may have heard through the Game Drive comms, is the fact that there's a 9th standby available, which means there are 12 vehicles ultimately that will go through that sighting before you get to go and see them. So he's going to make his way back towards Djuma for now, and hope that by the end of the Sunrise Safari perhaps he'll be able to jump on board with that. But of course for those vehicles, their guests haven't seen male lions yet, so it's really, really exciting for them. And we've been spoilt with male lion sightings, so again it's just the way the cookie crumbles. Let's go find the Nkuhumas instead and have them all to ourselves. How does that sound? Very nice in theory. And speaking of Brent, I'm sure he'd like to tell you a little bit about what's happening there. Now let's jump on the back of Rusty with him.
So wasn't that absolutely brilliant, being able to spend all that time with Mr. T, the dominant male leopard, as he traversed through Djuma onto Arathusa. He's now snoozing happily atop a termite area. So I know Jamie is looking for the Nkuhumas. 3 Birmingham boys have been found on Arathusa, but there are a lot of vehicles waiting to get in there. So we might head that way a little later once the sighting calms down, but they are flat cats at the moment, sleeping. So I think we're going to do, African Harrier hawk. Now, they're really interesting birds. Let me try. Forward a bit, Brian. Let's just try to sneak past the sticks. There's our little window of opportunity. I don't know how good it is, but we'll take it. So, incredible bird of prey. They're able to dislocate their joints so they can put their feet down holes to take baby birds, baby squirrels, and all sorts of other creatures. Unfortunately, he is quite far from the road. And can't really see him, so we'll leave him be. Did I hear a snort? Did you hear a snort, Brian? No, it was the lilac-breasted roller. When the car is on, sometimes the lilac-breasted roller call close by can sound like an alarm call. Where is that noisy creature? Sounded like he wasn't too far away. Now, he was probably shouting at the fact that Harrier hawk is around. Now, rollers are hole nesters, so they nest in holes in dead trees. So it is one of the things that the Harrier hawk might be looking for, a baby roller for breakfast. But lilac-breasted rollers can be very aggressive in the defense of their nests, and they do have quite powerfully sharp bills, so they are very capable of attacking a bigger bird because they are more maneuverable. Now, I heard over the radio a bit earlier that there might be sticks on Cheetah Plains, but I'm trying to get an update. Hi, Dagan in Kansas City. Now, Dagan's wondering, are there any gorillas on the reserve? No, Dagan, what we're in here is quite an arid area, so quite dry. Gorillas are a rainforest or high rainfall area. You have 3 types of gorillas. You have the western lowland gorillas that live in the Congo Basin rainforests. Then you have the mountain gorillas that are confined to the Volcanoes National Park between Congo, Rwanda, and Uganda. And then you have the cross river gorillas that live in a very small area between the River Cross and the Congo River, also in the Congo Basin rainforests. So the closest gorilla to us is over 2,000 kilometers away. Now, we have, as Safari Live, been up there recently. We did try to broadcast live from high in the Virungu Mountains, but unfortunately it didn't quite work. But if you look on our Facebook page, there is a little video of that incredible experience. And of course, Dagan, if you're not sure what the Facebook page is, it is Safari Live. Now, speaking of Safari Live, if you put a hashtag in front of that Safari Live, like Dagan probably has, you can ask us questions while we're out in the middle of the African bush, or you can send us an email on questions@WildEarthTV. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give Jamie a little hand. I'm going to check a little bit further to the south, see if the Nkuhumas maybe change direction. If we get no luck there, I'm still going to keep trying to get hold of Andrew or Ephraim from Cheetah Plains and see if the sticks are down there. If they are, we might take a little trundle down to the east. Now, Mobile Paddy is wondering what the guides from the other lodges think of Safari Live. Well, the ones that I know what they think, they quite like us. We're quite good friends with quite a few of the other guides, and outside of drive time we do socialize together. We shisanyama, we burn meat, or have a braai or a barbecue. So I think we're quite well liked, Paddy. Yeah, while we head off a little bit further to the southeast, let's go see how Jamie's search for the Nkuhumas in the north is going.
The search is going well. I'm slowly building up a little bit of a pattern in my own head as to what happened last night. And I've got the tracks of the female with her new babies, and I know it's the new babies because their tracks are absolutely minuscule. They are so tiny. So I definitely know that it's her and not the other cubs that we're tracking. And what I'm doing now, because I don't have a direction yet, is I'm checking all of their favorite roads and basically by process of elimination trying to figure out exactly where they went last night. Now we've already know that they didn't go west because that's where we started checking for Tingana. And so far it doesn't look as though they've come north, which leaves south and east. And I've sort of semi-checked east. I'm going to have to go and double-check the eastern direction, and that's basically how one goes about searching for lions when you don't have... If we've got them roaring, then it's nice and easy, then we know that that's the direction we start to head in. If we don't, then things become a little bit more tricky. But we've already got a more of a hint than we might otherwise have, because we know that they were all 5 plus 8 cubs were drinking at the Djuma Dam camera last night at about 1 o'clock in the morning. And hopefully we're going to find them somewhere, possibly on a nice big buffalo kill, so that we can spend time with them over the next few days. And Michael, another lovely question from you, which is when will the females come back into estrus sorry, let's try not to mangle poor Michael's question. When will the cubs be old enough for their mothers to come back into estrus? It is between 1.5 years and 2 years old. So it depends, just like with all mammals, each and every single individual is different, and it depends upon the individual concerned. Should we just check the hyena den since we're here? Might as well. And I have been promising that I'm checking all of the den sites, and I'm here now. So Michael, there will be roughly about 1.5 years usually closer to 2 in my experience in this area, that the females start to mate again, which does put their cubs roughly in sort of that independence age. What was so unfortunate about the timing of the Birmingham Boy takeover, at least for the Nkuhumas, was their youngest members, which includes the youngest adult female that we now have. They were so close to reaching that age where their mother and they would start going back into estrus. And yet it was just this really unfortunate thing that the Birmingham Boys ended up killing one of the Nkuhuma sub-adults, the female. And she was the female with the amber eyes. She'd inherited the amber-eyed gene. There were 2 of them, they were twins. And the last time we saw them happily playing together in the drainage line, and then we got a tragic report from Simbombili that the Birmingham Boys had killed one of them. It was just at the cusp of being safe, being in a safe age. And as a result, we actually think that's why so many of the Nkuhuma females lost their lives as well, just trying to defend those young females in junior. There's something very sad. It's just that little bit too early. What females with young cubs will do, though, is they will pretend to be an estrus, and it's not quite a false estrus either, because a false estrus comes as soon as males have killed their cubs, then they go straight into false estrus. But females with existing young cubs will pretend to be an estrus and attempt to mate with the males, which is difficult because obviously they have the advantage of the lactation hormones helping to fool the males, and they'll do that to try and, if the cubs are young enough, they'll mate with the males to try and convince them that those cubs are theirs. Speaking of cubs, is anybody home at the hyena den? Drum roll, and no. Unfortunately not. It's also a good spot to look for the lions. I think that's why they've abandoned this den site, as this is where the lions have been spending a great deal of their time. I love this den with its tambuti shade. It's beautiful. So this is an old hyena den for viewers that have only joined us in the last month, in the time that our hyena clan abandoned us and went further to the north. This is an old hyena den. We've had many magical moments spent on our live safaris, just sitting here watching the cubs fall over each other, chew on the branches, go into one hole and emerge out of another, tumble around, getting brave enough to come up to the vehicles to sniff the tires. I'm feeling very nostalgic. I do wish they'd come back. They will, of course, but it's one of those things. Again, the way the cookie crumbles out here, we've got Nkuhumas and their cubs, and as a result, we don't have any hyenas at the moment. Nope. All is quiet, and often you'll see fresh signs. If the cubs had moved back here, we'd see fresh scuffs in the dirt. There are scuffs in the dirt, but I think they're probably more likely made by Franklin than anything else. And you'd see freshly chewed sticks, maybe even bits of bone. Okay, well, it was worth a try. Let's go and look for the Nkuhumas.